take you back in time to 1985. At 23 years old, she thought that she had experienced the worst day of her life because her washing machine had flooded her entire apartment and her newlywed husband's bike had just been stolen. She called her father back home to tell him what had happened, and he told her this: "Diane, if this is the worst thing that ever happens to you, then consider yourself very lucky." Fast forward to November 9th, 1987. At 25 years old, she received a phone call that her husband of just 3.5 years had been in a serious car accident, and told them that she needed to come to the hospital as soon as possible. As she walked through the hospital doors and up to the emergency room, the doctors informed her that her husband had not survived. 2 weeks later, she was speaking to her father again and asked him, "Did you remember that conversation we had 16 months earlier about what I thought was the worst day of my life?" And he told her this: "Diane, despite how bad things may seem, this still will not be the worst day of your life. Because if this is the worst thing that ever happened, because the worst thing that could ever happen to you is if you died and didn't go to heaven." As the years went on, Diane got remarried and had 2 kids, and her life had went back to normal and almost perfect, until her father got very sick and passed away in 2011. 11 months following, her father's 3 sisters would pass away too. And coming from such a close family, these 4 sudden deaths were very devastating, with the last death happening in February of 2012. As she remembered her father's words, she knew that even though these times were hard, that this would not be the worst thing to happen to her in her life. On May 24th, 2012, her oldest child was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. After everything that's happened to her, hearing the words that your daughter only had a 20% chance of surviving made her question her father's words. But even though she continued to question her father's words, she knew that she had to be strong and positive for the next journey to come. As the weeks went on and the chemotherapy began, I started to lose my hair. And that's when I had hit rock bottom. I turned to my mom and I said, "Why me? Why was this put on me? And why do I have cancer?" She then turned to me and she said, "Just like your grandpa told me, if this is the worst thing that ever happens to you, Marissa, then consider yourself lucky." And at that point, I knew that my mom, throughout the rest of my life, would become my best friend, my supporter, my shoulder to cry on, and most importantly, my reason and my motivation to keep fighting. Thank you.